Good morning, Franklin Pillsbury here with Let's Go Boating, and we're here at MarineMax in Fort Myers today. And I've really got a great opportunity to visit with one of those, as I've talked about before, kind of not only legacy, but also lifetime in the business, and much like myself, growing up in the business. And joining us today, Keith Younger, president of Sea Ray. And for a number of years, his father was with Sea Ray Boats and was signed us up as a Sea Ray dealer in 1964, and then ran the Phoenix plant out west that we got a lot of our boats from back in the 70s into the 80s. And Keith, I know you're not quite as old as I am, but I think you've crossed that 60 mark, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Well, again, thank you for joining us. And as I mentioned, I know, that not only did you grow up around the fiberglass and the boats, but the lifestyle. And I know you've talked before about dealers that you met, as a kid or younger, at shows or whatever that may be, that today you're doing business with or that. And that's one of the things I love sharing through our Let's Go Boating, is that this is one of the only businesses that's very entrepreneurial, whether it's on the manufacturing side, on the marinas, retail, whatever that may be. And it's really about relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, as I've grown up with it, Franklin, like you have, we're both second generation in the business. And as I often share with people, there's been two owners of Sea Ray in its history. The original founder, C.N. Ray, who was extremely entrepreneurial, and Brunswick. And I have had the good fortune of my dad working for C.N. Ray, as you mentioned, back in the late 60s, 70s, and 80s. And now I have the fantastic opportunity, after having grown up in a Sea Ray household, to come back and lead the team. And it's been an awesome team.
Well, and Keith, as I watch your career and your path, but also what you're doing with the team at Sea Ray, and I look at some of the guys that have been there in the past, and kind of each phase there was something going on that maybe Sea Ray was moving into a new category or out of another category or whatnot. But you've really done a good job of helping to restore that passion and sort of that esprit de corps of what CN started back in 1959.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key to it was a couple things. One is, through the years, there's always been a winning culture. And when we talk winning, it starts with the customer winning first by getting themselves into the Sea Ray lifestyle and the family, with our dealer partners, because without them, quite frankly, we're nothing. We need those relationships with our dealers. And then it's our employees. And, through the years, we've had thousands of customers enjoy the product. We've had generational dealerships that have been fantastic partners taking care of those folks. And just countless number of employees that have all had a thumbprint or a part of that legacy as we've built it over 66 years.
Well, and before we get away from kind of the family side and whatnot, your family is actually third generation in this business now, and I've got two boys that are still selling Sea Rays today. But your son Zach is working for Mercury.
Yes, absolutely. And what is really cool for our side of it is, when he graduated from college, he came out with a finance degree. And as he was searching for jobs, I did not push him in one direction or the other, but he ended up landing with Brunswick and with Mercury. And he's truly enjoying the early stage of his career. And obviously it makes me proud as a father, that as we raised him around the boating lifestyle, it was a passion that he had deep rooted in the way he interacts with people and engages with people. And I think that's going to be really, really, really good for his future career.
I want to talk about the aspirational segment here in just a second, but I know there's like three key points that you're really working on or trying to make sure that are part of the culture and the things there today. And I know one of them is the shopping experience you've talked about, and then the product experience. And of course, you mentioned the service level and the fun. Is there anything else that kind of fits into that, Keith, or things that you're seeing that passion really increasing with?
I think the key behind all three of those areas, and my team hears it from me often, and as well as our conversations with dealers, is at the end of the day, we're in the people business, and we are fortunate to have boats as our vehicle to connect with those folks. But it's not only important on the front end to build a quality product and help the customer get into the right product for their family needs and their friend needs when they detach from the stressors of the world and go out and enjoy the lifestyle on the water. But also, with any type of a product, there's a certain level of service or maintenance that's required to maximize their uptime out on the water with their activity. And there again, that's the people skills and that engagement. And I've often learned that you don't run into a lot of upset customers if you're able to engage with them, address their needs, and respect, what their point of view is and help them get back on the water. So I think that's critical. And in today's world, you and I fit more the profile of the customer that's out there. We've got a lot of younger generation folks coming out. And one of my biggest challenges for our employees and our dealers is the younger generation is really attached to their keyboards. Yeah. And what I try to explain to them is have the conversation first. A keyboard can always support the conversation, but don't use the keyboard as the crutch to replace the conversation, because at the end of the day, it's people doing business with people.
Yeah, and it's interesting because one of the things I'm kind of working on right now, Keith, is that, in the 60s, technology kind of started becoming the next wave of what was going to make things happen and, go along. And now kind of that fourth wave is really how do we line that matrix up of technology and the human equation or the people side. And the really good salespeople understand that, like a big Snap-on toolbox, I've got all this technology and things that I can use over here. But if I don't have the rapport and the relationship with the customer, then that $1 doesn't really have value of what the delivered product's going to do for them.
That's absolutely correct. And I think as we not only do our jobs better to create a great product, we've got technology coming into place there, but there's still a lot of craftsmanship involved in our type of a product. But even from the consumer expectation, if you think about it, it's a very connected world these days with their homes, their automobiles, those types of experiences. But as we look at that technology, we need it to help facilitate their time on the water, not consume their time on the water.
Right.
So I think that's the balance we need to play.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I had here is that people don't just buy boats, they buy a lifestyle. And we've talked about that again, growing up with your mom and dad and your brother and whatnot, may not have had wakeboards in the day or some of the other kinds of things, but there were O'Brien water skis, or there were, scuba diving or fishing or some of those other things. So the boat is the vehicle, but we've got to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do to make those things happen.
Absolutely. It's, as we look at it, the boating lifestyle, as you and I have become to love and are passionate about, creates a release or a freedom for people from the everyday stresses of home life and career life. But as we get out on the products, we also need to evolve. I think what we're seeing with a lot of middle-aged folks now is there's a a high level of activity in their day to day. They're becoming what I'll call a little more health conscious. And as we translate that into the boating activities, tow sports like surfing is one of the big things that has really come to life over the last, call it, decade or so with folks. And how do we participate in that to create a new market, not only for ourselves, but an opportunity for people to enjoy a sea ray on the water?
Well, and I've seen photos and videos of you wakeboarding or, behind the boat, as well as the, CEO of MarineMax, Brett McGill. And, it's like fun. And one of the things my son Kyle said, seeing Brett on a board the other day and jumping a wake and whatnot, he said, well, that looks a lot more fun than being on a Harley.
That's right. Absolutely. And what we've actually, as we're looking at our new surf activity product with our SDX series, we're looking at it or referring to it as a generation bridge. You can get grandparents down through grandkids and every friend or relative in between out behind the boat enjoying the activity, and people laughing and enjoying the time, not only being a spectator, but also participating.
Well, and to jump gears for a second, I know you're celebrating the heritage of the Sundancer series boats, and I can remember going down to Merritt Island to PD&E with Arch and Jerry Michalak and whatnot, and seeing that first prototype with a very short Venturi windshield on it, 24-foot boat and whatnot, and kind of going, okay, the Weekender was doing okay at the time, but that little 24-foot Sundancer with a 188, Merc Cruiser in it really changed the trajectory of the cruising business.
Yes, and it's we're actually, as you mentioned, celebrating a milestone anniversary. It's our 50th anniversary with the Sundancer series, which is one of the series is older than most brands in the marketplace
Exactly.
right now. So
Yep.
it's been extremely successful. And I think back in the early days when we moved from the Weekender to the Sundancer, it was really the time when the Sundancer series kind of reinvented a cruiser and created the mid cabin space, so you could get four people in the cabin area comfortably. And then you fast forward to a few years back, when the mid cabin cruiser became commonplace. You had three social zones. You had the cabin, the cockpit, and the transom, which was the access to water and enjoying that aspect of it. The most recent Sundancer series created a fourth social zone, the bow seating area, which is comfortable underway to cruise the waterway. It's comfortable for your cocktail or your conversation while at anchor or in a cove. So that's really been the next step in the series to keep it relevant and keep it exciting for customers to want to own one.
Well, and of course, for us here in Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, the outboard version is, really just a super boat. And I was on a 37 the other day and out, running here on the river. And first of all, what a fun boat, great boat to run. It doesn't feel like a 37-foot cruiser. But then also with those outboards on the back, and when you talk to people and you go, here's all the extra storage or access or whatever that might be on the back of the boat. Again, the design elements and the features just kind of take care of themselves with that thought process.
Absolutely. And what we're seeing in that is, and where we used to be pretty stern drive heavy as a propulsion for our products, every model we have in the lineup now across the four model series has an outboard choice and a stern drive choice to accommodate whether it's coastal waters or inland waters. But even when you get to the Sundancer series, cruisers with outboards was never heard of before.
Exactly.
But as you have them now, to your point, you create more thoughtful choices for onboard storage and amenities that you can provide the customer. And in my world, the way I often share it with folks is it extends the season A lot of folks get into the mentality, partly probably because of school for their kids, Memorial Day to Labor Day type season. And then they want to put it to bed for the winter. But with an outboard with the self-draining blocks, you can now extend the
Yeah.
season without fear of the product being damaged with a quick freeze or something. So you're always looking for that sunny, warm day, even late season.
And that's a key point too, Keith, is that even though it's not directly, it is like for us, we have a marina here and whatnot, but the marinas across the country are becoming more user friendly as well. And people have more amenities, whether they're on the dock or like being able to, bring that boat into the slip and hook up dockside power and, stay on the boat if it's in the slip, or to be able to entertain people there. So that whole lifestyle really is getting more and more where people can enjoy some of the other, places to use the boat, literally.
Absolutely. And I think the key there as we continue to evolve with new products, it's more than just the ownership of the product, which was very boat related in the past. It's more about how do we deliver experiences, and that becomes a product experience. It becomes a marina experience. It can also be their connectivity to the product through apps, just to monitor what they have or how they manage their boat while underway. And I think that convenience factor helps them manage their time better to where they want to be enjoying the lifestyle.
Absolutely. Well, without divulging kind of anything that would be, secretive or proprietary, what do you see the next few years as, product development? Or, I mean, and obviously the connectivity with the boat is a key thing, but also just kind of from, the either affordability for some of these younger people or the ease of ownership. I mean, what's kind of on the horizon for you and your team?
I think the keys, we probably look at it in a couple areas. One is product wise, definitely a connected or a intelligent type offering with the management of the product. And there again, that's not only through while you're using it, whether it's navigating, docking, how do you have innovation? Like joystick piloting or your electronics on board or digital switching, which will continue to push in more products to create that ease of navigation, ease of docking, take some of that stress out of people's minds to where they don't have to be the expert to do it, but they can operate the product and feel comfortable with it, or their significant other can, or even their kids if they're on board. So I think that's key. I think the other side of it for Sea Ray, as we look at the brand kind of represents an achievement in their life stage or their career stage of enjoying the finer things in life because they've worked hard for that. How do we take that experience from land and bring it into the product? And we look at that as, or refer to it as, seamless luxury. So there's material choices. There is content on the product that create the convenience or the comfort that they're expecting on the water, much like they do in their home or their automobile. So a lot of that will come into play. And then there again, I think, when people didn't have such a scheduled life, going and hanging out on the boat for the weekend was easy to do. Now that we're all in such a scheduled environment these days, grabbing a couple hours midweek on the product is important, or even on the weekend. How do we create those experiences? And that's lower maintenance on the product, so they're not, reliant or putting all their time in there. Back to material choices on that, ease of operation, so they can just twist the key and go and enjoy the time with the family. So those are some key areas. I think as we look at that, affordability is always on the radar screen, and that doesn't mean some people think of affordability is cheap. There's certain price slots for a premium brand like Sea Ray is, that we'll look at and respect based on budgets and size of product that we'll look at as we go into the development of our products, and that helps us also content the products to make sure we're staying within a price range, but also creating a value proposition for the consumer.
Well, and I think that's, Sea Ray has obviously been that way year over year because so many, 60% of the business is probably somebody trading up or trading in. I mean, we had a fellow the other day that traded in a 3-year-old 270 Sun Deck outboard on a new 270 Sun Deck
Yeah.
outboard because he just wanted to, upgrade motor wise and, a couple of features, but, it was just time for him to upgrade.
Absolutely. And I think that will be key, as we keep a keen eye on that. And we'll do things through our production and through our supply chain, working with our supplier partners, just to make sure we've got the right selection of materials, the right price points, so we can manage, I'll call it overmanage those value propositions, because as we bring somebody in the family, we don't want to just sell them a boat. We want to sell them all their boats so they're part of the family and part of the lifestyle.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Over the years, and again, as a family, we started selling Sea Rays in 1964.
Yeah.
Over the year, and I still have customers in Dallas that I talk to that own a Sea Ray today that we sold them one in the 70s or 80s or to grandfather or, whatever that may be. But for me, I kind of sum it up that Sea Ray equals lifestyle and luxury on the water.
Yes.
And in particular, I think that lifestyle is so important.
Absolutely. And there again, I think it recognizes a personal achievement, and some people are showy and some people are not, but the Sea Ray ownership or connecting with the brand kind of lets them know they've achieved a pinnacle in their career, their life stage, and they enjoy the finer things in life. But part of that lifestyle also that we always need to anchor ourselves with is we're creating a freedom for them to go enjoy time on the water with their family and friends. And with Sea Ray, we've been a strong vehicle for that social connection. And as you know, there's a lot of influences with families these days on especially with the digital environment and phones and iPads, where some kids might go astray, but the boating lifestyle brings them back and generates conversations between parents and kids, which is healthy. And I think the parents really recognize that in raising their kids to become great adults.
Absolutely. And again, one of my core values I talk about with people when they say, well, why should we go boating or whatever? And boating really doesn't care about your finances to a degree, your mental health to a degree, your physical abilities to a degree, that being on the boat and being out on the water, there's kind of something for everyone. And just like you were talking, I think I heard you in a different interview talking about when you take your family out, that you encourage others to drive and run and operate the boat, but you're still
Absolutely.
kind of the guy in charge to make sure everybody's doing all right. And so we're kind of the captain of the family, but also whoever's on board, making sure that they're enjoying, that lifestyle of being on the water.
Absolutely. And I think getting people behind the helm that have
Yes.
never been behind the helm, whether they're younger kids or just friends or family you've brought on board, it gives them a new level of achievement and the feeling that they can do it with just proper guidance. But what's unbelievable about it is just watching the smiles as they're able to get a boat on plane and navigate the waterways.
Yeah.
It's just that's the thrill for me.
Well, and me too. The high five, that's why, like right now, I'm helping down here at our fuel dock, and especially on a Saturday when people come in to fuel up and you have the chance to just say, well, how is it out on the water today? Or what do you like most about boating? 99% of the time they smile and just go being out there.
Yep, absolutely. And I think the other thing it does too, um, it brings out a humbleness in folks
Yes.
where, if they're in the work environment, they might be buttoned up in a suit and a tie, and that's what they got to deal with in their corporate world. But as soon as they get down with the family and friends on the boat on the weekend, they're in t-shirts and swim trunks and flip-flops, being themselves, and quite frankly, being maybe a little more vulnerable to having conversations and laughing at themselves, whereas in the boardroom or in the workplace, they might not be able to show that side of them.
Right. Well, I wanted to share with you too that we're getting a 280 SLX ready for delivery this morning. I think I got it up
Oh,
there. We can see it.
fantastic.
But anyway, we'll post a little better picture. But that's
Yep.
what a great boat that 280 is. That's another one of mine that I really, really love. We delivered a 310 SLX yesterday. And the neat thing
Awesome.
for us, both boats will stay here in our dry storage. And we were talking yesterday with the people taking delivery on the 310 because they're new to the coastal boating here and some of that other stuff that you were talking about, that being able to use during the week and some of that. Keith, on your phone, basically, if you want the boat in the water at 3 o'clock this afternoon with ice on board and your favorite beverage and fueled up, it's tied up here at the dock where all you got to do is walk down, get on the boat, and go out and enjoy. And then when you come back, you tie it up, and then we clean it up and put it back in storage.
That is an awesome experience. And those are the things that bring a smile to people's faces. And I think as we set ourselves apart with that, with our dealer partners and you guys taking care of the customer that way, that's what sets you apart from the competition and helps them enjoy their investment. And they should really look at it as an investment to say, this is an investment not only in my time, but also financially. And this is where I want to be. And this is what's going to bring a smile to my face. It's the social rewards with that are phenomenal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as we come towards the end here, Keith, I got kind of my Franklin's Fast Five questions that,
Okay.
not that I'm a sports guy, but I'll just kind of ask you. And I do see the golf stuff on the back wall, and I know that's another part of the younger heritage is
Yes.
playing golf and the passion for that game. So we won't get into that specifically, but here's my kind of my five questions that being that you grew up around the boats and Sea Rays and in the business, what is your absolute favorite model that was ever built?
Probably the favorite model ever built. Right, I'll give you a big boat and a smaller boat.
All
So
right.
the big boat's the 400 SLX,
Yeah.
and I believe that just brings a lot to the table. We refer to it internally as the entertainer, because you've got great cockpit space with a cooking grill in the outdoor side of it, but in an area where you can be social with the rest of your crew. You've got great water access with the terrace door. But if you also want to do simple overnighting, you've got a cabin that will sleep four. And you also have a bow area. So if you need that fourth social zone, you've got an area for the crew to spread out and enjoy each other's conversations. So that's probably key there. And on the other side of it, actually the SPX 210. And the reason I say that, it provides access to the brand and the lifestyle. And I think that's key as we have products that can introduce people to the lifestyle of boating and into the Sea Ray family. That gives us an opportunity to create smiles and help them make memories for years to come.
Cool. And where's your favorite place to boat?
Wow. So I have had the good fortune in my life to be on a lot of waterways throughout the world. Um, in the U.S., I would tell you Lake Powell, having grown up out in the West, is beautiful. It's basically the Grand Canyon dammed up, and it's just beautiful sandstone mountains and clean water. Internationally, uh, probably Croatia. I had a chance to do a press event out there with our European team, and a lot of islands in the waterways and just deep blue water that is just really special to lose yourself on the boat and the environment.
That's cool. Favorite boating activity?
So now I would tell you actually surfing. I enjoy surfing on it. And actually, this summer we held our first Sea Ray surf camp for customers and dealer partners. The first one happened to be in Lucerne, Switzerland, on Lake Lucerne. So to be able to surf on Lake Lucerne was a pretty cool thing to say. But there again, I think, I'm 63 years old, and still being able to get out there behind the boat and enjoy that, as well as the younger people in the crew, just brings a smile to my face and a connectivity with them.
I'll have to interrupt and say that you're talking about 63 and being able to do that and to surf. So I'm 73, and the other day we had all the family. We were out in the Gulf of America, and my 12-year-old grandson, we had in an inner tube towing him behind the boat out in the Gulf of America.
Wow.
And I told him when he got back in the boat, I said, okay, I and you, or you and I, are going to water ski in the Gulf of America. So that's my objective now. Is I want to
Fantastic.
go out there and get on a water ski with him and ski in the Gulf of America. So,
Well,
favorite,
hopefully you find a calm day out there, because I know if the wind's blowing the wrong way, it can be a
yeah,
little rough on you.
trust me, just like the lake, we'll make sure the water's right. But favorite food on a boat?
Favorite food on a boat? I would actually tell you I enjoy bringing sushi along, and the reason for that, it is a something you can bring on board cool, and doesn't take a lot of prep, and it's what I'll call finger food, for lack of a better choice. So it's just easy to be portable on the boat and use that. Now, I will tell you, in some of our bigger products, what was a very cool experience. I'm not very good at lobstering down in southeast Florida when the time comes, but if you've got good folks on board that can grill it right then and there for the lunch, that is an awesome experience.
Yeah, I'm a big Kenyan Grill fan, and
Okay.
that's a big deal. How's your mom feel about sushi on the boat?
She likes her California rolls, so the basic.
Yeah.
She'll eat it. It's more rice than fish, but she'll partake.
Okay. Okay. Last question. Greatest family memory on a boat?
Uh, Probably when we used to go as kids with the family up to Lake Powell and overnight up there. And the reason for that, on one side, we were fortunate because Dad always had the new products, and we were, call it the testers of it, if you will. And I remember him back pre-computer used to have a yellow legal pad that he'd write notes on, and I'd watch him and my mom, because she was usually the person in the galley and would say whether the storage worked or the pantry or the cooktop. But it brought us together, spending 3 4 nights out on the boat, to be able to explore, have campfires on the beach, be able to partake in water sports and fish. So it was kind of an all around experience. But those are probably my fondest memories.
Yeah, and I think back then the 220 overnighter may have been one of those early boats you guys went on, because I remember a lot of conversations, because again, that was a game changer, kind of about the time of the weekender, but a lot of what you're saying, thought process of a cooktop being an alcohol stove and an ice box being you put a block of ice in it, and some of those things, but way different than a 230 cuddy cabin or 220.
Absolutely. And the old 220 overnighter had tremendous space on board for a family of four, two parents and two kids at the time. That pretty tough to find these days on a 22 footer.
Exactly. Absolutely. Well, Keith, again, what a pleasure. All these years of Youngers and Pillsbury's, not only in the Sea Ray business and whatnot, but a few years up in Crested Butte, Colorado, with
Yep.
skiing and mountaining and doing some of the other things there and whatnot. Just great opportunity to visit with you. And next time you're in Southwest Florida, whether it's going for a lobster or we'll just go see trail a boat out here, please let us know.
Absolutely, Franklin. And I enjoyed the time and definitely say hey to the family and fond memories of Crested Butte and
Yeah.
the snow skiing. So it's, you guys introduced us to that wonderful mountain town years ago. And those are also fond memories off the water for us.
Absolutely. Well, Keith, thank you. My guest today, Keith Younger, president of Sea Ray, and as we've chatted, second generation being at Sea Ray, but also a great leader in the passion, lifestyle, and the direction of Sea Ray. And we'll look forward to kind of continuing and seeing what's coming out and to catch up with you at boat shows or down the line.
Perfect. I enjoyed the time today, Franklin, and you have a blessed weekend. And hopefully, we get to see you out on the water.
Amen. And as we always say, boating changes lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.